Did you know there's a diet that's proven to cut 14% of your visceral fat even if you don't lose a pound on the scale? And no, it's not keto, it's not carnivore, and it's definitely not about counting calories. Sounds too good to be true? Well, stick with me because I'm going to break down the science and show you the exact foods to eat and explain why this is the easiest diet you'll ever try if you want to lose visceral fat. Now, to give you some context, I used to be that overweight kid who was terrified to take his shirt off at the pool, and I was so embarrassed about my body that I became obsessed with all things fat loss and getting lean. Fast forward 25 years, and I have coached thousands of clients, from stay-at-home moms to high-performing entrepreneurs and even celebrities. And there's one type of fat that keeps on showing up as the real enemy. And that type of fat is visceral fat. This is a dangerous type of fat that wraps around your organs. And the reason why it's so dangerous is because it's metabolically active and it releases inflammatory substances called cytokines into your bloodstream. Now, the problem with these cytokines is that they contribute to chronic low-grade inflammation, which is a key driver for a lot of metabolic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and certain types of cancer. Also, if you have way too much visceral fat, it can literally make you dumber. It reduces the amount of blood flow to your brain, which can cause shrinkage in areas in the brain known for memory and emotional regulation.
You mean shrinkage?
Yes!
Now, the unique thing about this fat is that you can lose weight and still have the same amount of visceral fat in your body. Also, you can shrink it without even losing any weight. I know, crazy, but I remember working with a client who had exceptionally high levels of visceral fat. He was someone who wanted to lose the weight in a flexible way, which is still incorporating alcohol and his favorite foods. His line of thinking was that if I'm just in a calorie deficit, then this fat is just going to go away. Well, it turns out he was wrong. Even though we were in a calorie deficit, we dropped 11 pounds, and when we got his DEXA scan back, he got pissed off because the visceral fat was still the same. But I told him in the beginning, if you want this fat to be removed from your body, your eating habits need to change. It's not all about calories. Thankfully, he got the message, and when he applied these particular changes to his diet, he ended up dropping 75% of visceral fat from his body. The diet I'm referring to is called an optimized Mediterranean diet. And the great thing is that it's backed by evidence. So researchers compared 3 types of diets to see what really shrinks visceral fat. The first diet was a healthy guideline diet, which was lean protein, veggies, and fruits. They lost 0 weight, but visceral fat dropped by 4.2%. Then they tested the standard Mediterranean diet, which is the classic olive oil, fish, and nuts. They lost 2.7% of their body weight and 6% of their visceral fat. The third one was the optimized Mediterranean diet, which was loaded with polyphenol-rich foods like berries, blueberries, raspberries, pomegranates, and green tea. This group lost 3.9% of body weight, but also the visceral fat numbers dropped by a whopping 14%. Now, the reason why this particular diet works so well is because of its polyphenol content. Polyphenols are these plant compounds that are found in foods like dark berries, green tea, and nuts. In this study, they triggered the production of hippuric acid and urolithin A, which are compounds that basically tell your gut to get its shit together and to start burning visceral fat. Now, here are the foods that we implemented into our client's diet. First, we got rid of alcohol. My client had a history of drinking 1 to 2 glasses of alcohol a day and a little bit more on the weekends. And if there is anything that you know about alcohol, is that it increases inflammation, appetite, and your body prioritizes it first before burning off anything else. So if you want to get rid of visceral fat, you have to give your gut and also your body a fighting chance. And this means creating the best environment for visceral fat loss. Next, we needed to severely limit hyper-processed foods, sugars, and packaged foods from his diet. And what we're starting to find is that processed foods and emulsifiers and also sugars significantly contribute to the accumulation of visceral fat due to its effect on gut health. Now, it's not all about elimination. These are the foods that we added. So let's start with protein. We made sure that he was getting his protein from lean sources like white fish, fatty fish, and even chicken. He was getting around 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. And when it comes to protein, I like to set a floor and a ceiling. And now, mind you, this 0.8 to 1 gram per pound is his actual body weight, not his lean body mass. And for more context, my client had around 30 pounds to lose. He wasn't morbidly obese. And after looking at thousands of DEXA scans, I find that with protein intake, especially when you're in a phase of fat loss, This is the amount that helps you maintain, if not build, lean mass while being in a caloric deficit. So even though he lost 20 pounds, he was actually able to add 3 pounds of lean mass to his body, which helped him maintain his metabolism. And it was largely due to the amount of protein he was taking in. Next, we wanted to index heavily on dark berries, at least 2 cups a day. We're talking blackberries, raspberries, and wild blueberries. He ate these as a snack, or if he was feeling peckish after his meals, he'd eat it right after a meal. Next, my client was drinking around 3 coffees a day, so what we had him do was drink 1 coffee in the morning, and the next 2 cups he would drink later would be changed to green tea. Now, green tea is unique because it helps you burn visceral fat through its high content of catechins. These little things help you boost metabolism and increase fat oxidation, especially in the belly. When you combine catechins with caffeine, they work together to enhance energy expenditure, which can stimulate your fat-burning hormones and also promote the breakdown of fat cells, specifically visceral fat. Next, we made sure to volumize his food with polyphenol-rich greens. Think spinach, kale, or if you're feeling a little fancy, duckweed. And to improve his gut health, he drank bone broth, added fermented foods, and chia seeds to his diet. Fermented foods boost beneficial gut bacteria, while chia seeds act as a prebiotic to nourish them. Together with his increased polyphenol intake, this combination supports a healthy gut and is a massive net positive at helping you burn visceral fat. Now, the last part of this diet is what I call automating your hunger. And this means having my client eat a meal schedule according to his circadian rhythms. I talked about it a lot in this video over here, but when we put our meals on a schedule, it starts to automate our hunger. If you are eating at random times, then you're going to be hungry at random times. But when you start to automate your hunger by starting to train it when it should eat and when it shouldn't eat, what's happening is that you're making your hunger work for you instead of against you. So for our client, we actually started at the end. When he went to sleep, we wanted to make sure that we had our final meal at least 3 to 5 hours before going to sleep, and that was around 7 p.m. And the next part is to eat a high-protein, nutrient-dense meal at least 1 to 2 hours upon waking to help you regulate your appetite later on in the day. And then between those 2 meals, we just add the middle meal. And then this is a semblance of creating a natural meal schedule that fits your lifestyle. Now, while this diet is really focused in on the diet, I have to mention that we also incorporated weight training, walking, and sprinting as his main sources of exercise. These types of exercises have been shown to help burn visceral fat and preserve lean muscle mass during a fat loss phase. And the last thing you need is time. From my experience, it takes around 90 days of concentrated effort to make significant reductions in your visceral fat. With a 3-month time horizon, you can go from having unhealthy to healthy levels of visceral fat by making these substitutions that were just mentioned in this video. And the big lesson here is that when it comes to burning visceral fat, the quality of your food matters as much, if not more, than the quantity of your food. And this is great news for anyone who doesn't want to just obsess about tracking their numbers. And something I'll add is that after the 2-week mark, when my client went on the diet like this, he found that he was full to the point of not even being able to finish the food on his plate. I regularly get texts from him asking, hey, if I don't feel like eating, should I eat? And this is wild coming from a guy who would just be stuffing his face full of meals and snacks for 12 hours a day. And the best part is that these are simple swaps. So instead of eating candy or chips, you're going to eat berries. Instead of drinking soda, you're going to be drinking green tea. A couple of small changes can lead to wildly different results. So to get rid of your visceral fat, obsess a little bit less about your calories and more about feeding your gut the right quality foods. And once you do this, you will eventually see your visceral fat and also the size of your belly disappear. Now, if you want to get rid of your visceral fat, I create a free guide on the exact protocol we use to help our clients lose it. Drop a comment with the word lean below and I will send it to you. And thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.